Hello friends and welcome to Pathologic Volume 5 Episode 33. Today we have a bonus Gemini Loop, a genre which was a whole lot of fun the first time around, and I expect this bonus will be perhaps a little bit more challenging, but no less fun, and let's find out together as we take a look at the rules. In a Gemini Loop puzzle, we will draw a non-intersecting loop through the centers of all cells. That is exactly the same rule set we have on a simple loop puzzle, and as you can see in the solution, we are traveling horizontally and vertically throughout the grid, and the loop does in fact touch every cell in the grid. Cells containing the same letter must be entered by the loop from the same directions. Cells containing different letters must not. In other words, each letter corresponds to a unique shape. So I read these three together because they kind of go hand in hand. So if we take a look at, for example, the A in the grid, the path enters from the left and from the west and the south. It goes west and south from the A, and it goes west and south from this A. And no other letters go west and south. B goes north and east. In every instance, nothing else goes north and east, and so on. Those are the rules of Gemini Loop, so it's time to solve a puzzle. Today's Gemini Loop was set by Freddie Hand. We have, let's see, some A's that have north borders. There's an A here with a south border. So we know the A's are all going to be straight horizontal lines because that's the only thing that can deal with both having a north wall and a south wall. We've got a B that is against the south wall, so we know that those are all walls. The E's have west walls on them from this, and the D's have east walls. Let's mark all those in. Okay, and we also know that the loop goes through the centers of all cells. So just standard simple loop stuff, we can mark in all the corners because every cell has to have an entrance and an exit. So corner, 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 and in doing this one, we know that B has an exit on the right side every time. What can we do next now that we have that settled? This cell needs two exits. None of them are left. If we had east and south, then we'd have a short-circuited loop. So this must have a north exit from it. And in doing so, we know more about D. So we can mark in all the D's have a south exit, which gives us a nice corner here, allowing us to draw in a corner there. There is probably, I don't know if it's already time to think about which of the types of paths we have already seen. I think it is, because we've got a B clue that has an exit to the east, does not have one to the south. So the other one has to be west or north. But west would mean it's the same as the A clue, and we know they're all different. So B must be this corner, and we can mark that on all the B's, which gives us more information down in this corner. This has to turn. This has to come straight up this way. This is a tunnel, so this has to come straight through, which means this has to turn to the east, and that gives us information on this C as well. C can't go straight through because that's what A's job is, so that is a wall, and can't go south because it would close this loop early. So it goes north, and that tells us that this C also goes north. We've got a corner to fill in right there. And we've got a tunnel between these two blocks, so that is a horizontal line. This must turn. This can't go south because it would close this loop early, so this goes east, forcing this to turn south. The E clue can't go north and east because that would close this loop early. So it has to have at least one in another direction, and west isn't an option. So south is one of the sides of the E. Let's mark that in everywhere. And what do we know about, okay, so which options we've dealt with? So A, B, and C, between them, are all of the options that don't have a south exit. Those are all three of the combinations that don't have a south exit. So that means D, E, and F. We already know D and E have a south exit. We already marked that in. But F must also have a south exit. Okay, so between D and E and F, one of them goes north, one of them goes west, one of them goes east. Does that tell us anything? Not really. Not really yet. Okay. This has to turn south. We can't end this loop early, so we got to extend it there. And this has to go south again. Okay, so that's told us what D does, and tells us that E and F don't have northbound exits. Do that on all of them. And that forces this to turn, and it forces this to turn, and we know what E does now everywhere. E is this angle. And all that's left is F, and it has to be the one that we haven't seen yet, which is south and west. So all of our lettered clues are now done, and it should be just loop logic from here on out. Here's a tunnel. Here's a corner. We've got this one can't be this corner because it would close early, so it must include that line. This can't go across, so it must include a northbound line. I thought we knew what D, we do know what D is, we just didn't mark it in on these two. So those are done, forcing this to keep on going, and this to turn. We've got a corner, turn there, got a corner here. That's made a corner here. This has to turn. We've got a corner there. We don't want to close this early, so this goes up. This is a corner. This is a tunnel. This one's a corner. Corner. This is a corner. Can't close the loop early, so these both extend north. Don't want to close it here either, so go west and west. This has become a corner and doesn't want to close early. And we've got, this is where I really miss the PuzzLink interface where I get these lines colored. But this whole thing is one big part of the loop. So it's just linking these two up by way of the rest of this stuff. Here's a tunnel up here and a corner here. That makes this a tunnel, which makes the loop all the way to there and all the way to here. We can't close it early. It's got to continue down here, and finally over here. And that is how you solve a Gemini loop.